I want to ask a question, a very serious question, and I ask that you stay with it, that you don't brush it aside. Why does sex play such a colossally important, all consuming part in your life, in my life, in the life of almost every human being? When this is asked, there is often a little nervous laughter, a sense of embarrassment, but I am asking you not to laugh it off. This is a profound inquiry because if we can understand this, we may be able to understand the entire structure of our own minds. Why has this one act become so deeply embedded in our consciousness? You only have to look around. It is the engine of so much of our society. It is not just the obvious advertisements the naked ladies or half-dressed men used to sell everything from cars to perfume, but it is in the very fabric of our search for identity. It is in the way we present ourselves, the validation we seek online, the fear of being alone, the desperate search for partnership. Society, not just in this present period, but for millennia, has been obsessed with it. Now, I am not talking about the simple biological function of producing children. That is a different matter entirely. I am asking about the psychological structure, the image, the pleasure, the idea of it that occupies the mind. Why? You might answer, and it would be a very good answer, that it is probably the greatest pleasure, the most intense sensation a human being can have. And in the demanding of that pleasure, in the pursuit of it, in the memory of it, and the hope for its repetition, 1,000 complications arise. Volumes upon volumes have been written about this, the psychological attachments, the jealousies, the pain, the dependency. But I have not seen many who truly ask the fundamental question, not just the complications, but why human beings have made this thing so centrally important in their lives. So let's go into it, shall we? I am not here to tell you anything because you know all this better than I do. It is your life. But together we can investigate, we can look, we can observe, we can ask. As we said, it may be the greatest pleasure we have, and perhaps we feel the greatest freedom in that pleasure. Let's look at our lives as they are actually lived day to day. Are they free? Is your life a free life? Or is it a turmoil, a constant struggle, a battle? We go to an office, we work in a factory, we perform a routine, perhaps for 40 or 50 years. We are caught in the trap of becoming something, of achieving success, of paying bills. There is very little in that life that feels original, nothing that feels truly creative. Now, I am using that word creative very carefully. We must ask, what is creation? What does it mean to be creative? The painter, the architect, the poet, the woodcarver, he may say his work is creative. The woman who bakes bread in the kitchen, kneading the dough with her hands, she might also say this is a creative act. And of course, human beings say that sex is a profoundly creative act, not just biologically, but psychologically. This is what we have been told. The great musicians, Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, or the great Indian singers expressing their devotion, we are told that is the act of creation. But is it? We have accepted this definition, haven't we? We have accepted that a painter like Picasso, for example, is a great creator putting one nose on three faces, or whatever it may be. I am not being derogatory. I am just pointing out what we call creation. We accept it. We hang it in museums. We pay fortunes for it. But if you inquire, if you doubt, if you question this, is that creativeness, or is creativeness something entirely and totally different? What you are seeing in the painting, in the poem, in the music, is the expression of creativeness, is it not? It is an expression according to the talent, the capacity, the conditioning of the artist. It may be a great capacity or a very small capacity. It may be modern rock music or it may be Bach. Sorry to compare the two. They are really quite incomparable, but that is beside the point. We human beings accept this as creative because it brings you a name, it brings you money, it gives you a position, a prestige. You get to be in the same room as the great artist and you feel you have touched something special. So, I am asking, is that creativity, can there be creation in the most profound, sacred sense of that word, as long as there is egotism, as long as there is the me, the self, demanding success, demanding money, demanding the recognition of the world? When that is the motive, then it is not creation, it is simply supplying the market, responding to a demand, which is a form of commerce. Please, don't agree with me. I am just pointing this out. I am not saying I know what creativity is and you do not at all. I am saying that we never seriously question these things. I say there is a state of creation and you can doubt it, but your doubt doesn't matter to me. It is a state where there is no shadow of selfishness, not a trace of the me with its ambitions and its fears. That is real creation, and that creation does not need expression. It doesn't need a canvas or a poem or an audience. It doesn't need fulfillment, because fulfillment implies a me that is becoming fulfilled. It is simply a state of being, of newness from moment to moment. Now, why have I gone into all this? Because I think we are not in that state of creation. Our lives are the very opposite. And perhaps sex is felt to be creative apart from producing children. And has it also become so important because everything else around us is circumscribed? Are you following this? Everything around us is fenced in, limited. The job, the office, going there every day for 50 years, the church, the temple, the mosque, going there for 50 years, repeating the same words, the same rituals, following some philosopher, some guru, some political leader, accepting their authority, living by their rules. You follow all of that. This entire social and psychological structure has deprived us of freedom. We are not free, and inwardly we are even less free. We are not free from our own knowledge, which is the past. We are not free from our memories, our hurts, our pleasures. We are prisoners of our own experience. So, when we are deprived of freedom outwardly and inwardly, for generations upon generations, told what to do, what to think, what to believe, then what happens? We are suffocating. And in that state of suffocation, we have only one source, one escape, which feels like freedom, which feels like creation, which feels like the greatest pleasure, and that is sex. Is that right? That perhaps is the one door in the prison we think we can open for a moment and feel a total release, a total self-forgetting. But we must also ask, is it freedom? Or is that too circumscribed? So we must ask again, with all seriousness, why do we give this one thing such singular, overwhelming importance? Our lives are circumscribed, fenced in by our jobs, our beliefs, our societies, and most of all by the past, by our own knowledge, which prevents us from ever seeing anything new. We feel this imprisonment, this suffocation, and we seek an escape. And it seems that sex is the one door, the one moment of self-forgetting, of total abandon of what we call freedom. But is it, or is it simply another, more intimate part of the prison? Let us inquire into this. Do you give equal importance, equal energy, equal vitality and thought to being free from fear? Think about it. Do you wake up in the morning and dedicate your mind and heart to the inquiry of why you are afraid of losing your job, afraid of public opinion, afraid of being alone, afraid of death? Now, do you put the same passionate intensity into understanding and ending your sorrow? No. So why not? Why this one thing and not the others? Perhaps the answer is terribly simple. Because that is the easiest thing to have. It is a pleasure that is built in, a biological imperative that offers a temporary, intense, and immediate release. It requires no fundamental change in you. It is a sensation, a powerful one, but it does not demand that you dismantle the me that is the very cause of your suffering. In fact, it often strengthens it through possession, jealousy, and memory. The other inquiries, however, they demand everything. To be free from fear, to end sorrow, to discover if there is something sacred, creative, beyond the petty movements of thought that demands all your energy. And here we discover a terrible and profound paradox. That total energy, that undivided attention can only come when you are free. Are you following this? As we are now, our energy is fragmented, broken up. We are in constant contradiction, aren't we? We want peace, but our actions are ambitious and aggressive. We want love, but our hearts are full of fear and self-interest. We want to be good, but we are envious. This inner conflict, this civil war within our own consciousness, is a tremendous waste of energy. It is like an engine running with all its parts grinding against each other. So when we try to use this fragmented, contradictory energy to understand something immense like fear or sorrow, we fail. We cannot. We can only suppress it, analyze it, run away from it, or invent beliefs to cover it over. We cannot end it. The very act of ending fear requires a total holistic energy, an energy that is not in conflict. And that state of non-conflict is freedom. So, you see the trap, we are not free, therefore we do not have the energy. And because we do not have the energy for the deep, profound inquiry, we turn all our attention to the one area that gives us the sensation of freedom without demanding the reality of it. We turn to the easy thing, the pleasure, the escape. And so, human beings throughout the world for millennia have given this thing, sex, such tremendous importance in their lives. But we must understand the consequence of this. When you give something which is only a part of life such tremendous importance, you are destroying yourself. You are distorting the whole. Life is a total movement. It is a whole. It is not just one part. It is your relationship to the sky, to the tree, to your neighbor, to your own mind. It is how you work, how you think, how you face sorrow, how you meet death. It is all one indivisible movement. But when you take one fragment of it, this one sensation, and make it the center, the dominant factor, then you are living a life of utter imbalance. And this imbalance is corruption. Now, look at the reaction to this. The monks, the ascetics, the so-called religious people, they see this corruption, this obsession, and they say, we must deny it. We must suppress it. We must turn our energy to God. But have they? They think they have turned their energy to God, but the thing is boiling in them. You can't suppress nature. You cannot deny a part of the whole without doing violence to yourself, and that violence is just another form of corruption, another form of obsession. The man who is obsessed with sex and the man who is obsessed with denying sex are both caught in the same trap. They are both giving it colossal importance. So the question is not whether sex is right or wrong or good or bad. That is a childish inquiry. The real question is, why has it become the central focus of your life to the exclusion of everything else that is profound? It is because, as we said, we are not free outwardly or inwardly. And this is the only escape we seem to have. But if you give importance to everything, if you give your whole attention to understanding your relationship with property, with your ambition, with your envy, with your fear, if you begin to look at the whole of your life, this entire structure of your consciousness, then this one part begins to take its natural, proper place. It is no longer a monstrous, all-consuming obsession. It becomes a small part of a much vaster, richer, and more significant life. But as long as we live in this prison we have built for ourselves, as long as we refuse to face the hard work of self-knowing, we will cling to the one easy pleasure, the one escape, and in that clinging, we will continue to corrupt ourselves and destroy the possibility of ever being free. If you found value in this inquiry, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the nature of our minds.